So here's what I want to focus on this morning. I have observed that certain well-known science authors, often writing for popular audiences, seem to feel entitled to write with authority not only about science, but also to pronounce on metaphysics and religion. And I think that's often a problem. Here's what I mean. I read a lot of books about science. I really believe in the importance of science, and I want to learn from science all that I can. What I have noticed in reading some science books is that their authors abruptly slip from making scientific claims based on scientific methods and evidence to suddenly asserting metaphysical and theological claims, seemingly based on scientific authority, but which in fact have no proper scientific merit. Here's one example. Last month, I was reading the globally best-selling book entitled Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, published in 2015 by the Oxford-educated Israeli scholar Yuval Noah Harari. In it, Harari pulls together massive amounts of scientific evidence to tell us about the long story of human biological and cultural evolution. So I was enjoying this book when on page 28, I suddenly found myself reading these words. Quote, "There are no gods in the universe outside of the common imagination of human beings. No things like gods exist outside the stories that people invent and tell one another. Religious myths are imagined, fictions produced from collective imagination, not objective reality." So I found these claims to be really jarring as a reader. I had just been reading about the human cognitive revolution, which good empirical evidence demonstrates occurred many tens of thousands of years ago. Next thing I know, and without warning, I'm reading theological metaphysics. There are no gods in the universe. Really? How, I wondered, could or does Harari possibly know these things? From artifacts dug up in an archaeological excavation? Like, oh, look, there really are no gods in the universe. From fossils excavated in natural history museums? I think not. Said plainly, Harari is here engaging in a deceptive sleight of hand, an unacknowledged smuggling of theological metaphysics in through the back door of science, seemingly with the authority of science. Every scientist has the right to decide for his or herself whether they can or cannot believe certain religious claims, and the findings of science may play an appropriate role in that discernment, I believe. Furthermore, scientists, like everyone else, have the right to tell others about their personal beliefs. Scientists as public intellectuals have no legitimate intellectual grounds for making many of the dismissive metaphysical and theological claims that they make, supposedly on the basis of the findings of science itself. Let me offer other examples of scientists interloping in this way onto the turf of metaphysics and theology. The biologist Edward O. Wilson claims in a book published last year that, quote, "The evidence is massive enough and clear enough to tell us this much. We were created not by a supernatural intelligence, but by chance and necessity. There is no evidence of a demonstrable destiny or purpose assigned to us. No second life vouchsafed us for the end of the present one. We are completely alone." Really? Empirical evidence tells us that? The University of Hawaii particle physicist Victor Stenger similarly writes, "Empirical data and the theories that successfully describe those data indicate that the universe did not come about as a purposeful creation. Based on our best current scientific knowledge, we conclude beyond a reasonable doubt that a God who is the highly intelligent, powerful supernatural creator of the physical universe does not exist." Paleoanthropologist Richard Leakey and science writer Roger Lewin claim that, quote, "The important message that comes to us from the fossil record is that any alleged God surely has no plans for Homo sapiens, and could not even have predicted that such a species would ever arise. It's a very strange last claim, but this is what they write. I guess if you're God, you don't, well, whatever. For a final example, sufficient for present purposes, Marcelo Glaser, the Brazilian physicist and astronomer on faculty at Dartmouth College, writes, "There is no final truth to be discovered, no grand plan behind creation." Really? Science can tell us that? I don't think it can. The meta prefix of metaphysics makes a huge difference in distinguishing it from mere physics. So does the theo prefix in theology make it fundamentally different discipline of inquiry than other ologies like biology or cosmology. The metaphysics does not rationally follow from the science and never could. Others, it seems, instead simply appear to believe that because they speak with the authority of science, then they are authorized to pronounce authoritatively on any topic that they please. The simple word for that is arrogance.